We have been manipulated and conditioned so much that even Pavlov himself would start drooling. Sitting here, got a winter storm coming through today. Actually happening, just passed through. And it just made me remember of the good old days when I worked in the grocery business and the run on the grocery stores whenever a winter weather advisory came through and the panic that ensued and people needing to get in their bread and milk. And it always made me laugh because for business it was great. We'd have a big bump on the day of the storm, and then the next day we'd be a little light in sales, but not as much as the bump was. So over the 2 days we'd be up together on both days, and we'd have a better run on the business, and it worked out great for us every time. And it was for no good reason whatsoever because, quite frankly, more times than not, within 24 hours, you can get back out on the roads pretty easily where we're at and not have an issue getting to the store or anything like that. And I can only think of one time in the last 50 years that I've been alive that we've had something where it's been more than 24 hours, and that was in October of 97. A bad storm came through, 18 plus inches of snow, trees still had leaves on them, branches falling all over town, electricity out, horrible to get around, and it was just a bad day. But that's once in 50 years that I can recall. And yet people still panic when they see the 10-day forecast and the snowflake on the forecast on the 10th day. And as we get 4 or 5 days out, the weathermen start bumping it up. We're going to have anywhere from 2 to 56 inches coming in. And you get closer and it narrows it down, and you're 2 to 8. And more times than not, it's less than what they actually predict. And it's never as bad. Yet the storm just blew through and you can get around the roads fairly decently. And it's not an issue. But why do we do this? It's because we've been conditioned to do it. Our fear receptors pick it up as, oh no, stuff's going to happen. And back in the day when we had wagons and whatnot, we couldn't get around as easily, so we better go stock up before we get shut in forever. And it's just not the case anymore. But yet we still do it because of our conditioning. And the conditioning is being taken advantage by systems all around us. You think about sitting in a church and the pastor starts preaching about a new capital campaign to put a new playground on the children's ministry. And the first thing you do is start reaching for the wallet and thinking, all right, how much can I give here? We're conditioned to do it. There's a need, and this is for God and Jesus, and it triggers us. And, better get in the good graces so I get in heaven, so here's my money. Let me get in. Politicians, come out and don't take accountability for anything and start blaming other people. And we're like, yeah, that's right. We'll forget all recent history and move on. So when they tell us egg prices were the problem of the previous administration, even though they've more than doubled in the time that you've been in office, yeah, let's go ahead and blame it on there and condition it. And I know I'm preaching to the choir to a lot of people about this stuff because they've broken from the conditioning. And that's a good thing. You got to recognize what you've done and then keep doing the work because there's still things that you're conditioned to. Quite frankly, we have things where we're still running to the grocery store when snow comes out, or we respond certain ways. We're still people pleasers or anything along them lines. We have to break these conditions. And we have to do like we did when we deconstructed. And we moved away from the conservative ideals that we were taught in the church, and think about it and rationalize it and use our logic and reason to figure out, why am I doing this and what can I do wrong? And it puts us in a place where we can hold accountability to things. When the pastor's asking for money for the playground, we can start saying, we already have 2 playground sets out there. Why do we need a third? Why do we have to have a bigger playground equipment set up than the schools around us that have 5 times as many kids in their buildings than we do? And you start thinking, maybe we don't need to give this money. Maybe the pastor's just trying to build his own glory. Or when the president tries to tell us that tariffs aren't going to affect us, that it's going to affect the countries that we levy these on, and just plain out lie to us and not know what economics is, and people buy in and say, oh, yeah, that's true. We don't have to worry about it. Screw Canada, screw Mexico. But luckily we have people holding these guys accountable on a local level. When the politicians are out now doing town halls and people are asking them simple questions about, why are you cutting veteran benefits? How is this helping us? You're hurting more of us common folk than you are helping anything else with the government. You're cutting out everything that benefits us and nothing that harms the rich in the country. And the politicians look at their watch and say, oh, my time's up. I know it's only been 15 minutes and I promised an hour, but I got other obligations, so deuces, I'm out. Remember that. Don't be conditioned when they start appealing to your national sensitivities and what's going on and these are the problems and we're going to shift blame. Kind of like we shift blame everything else on everyone in the current administration. And other governments and other people in the world are holding us accountable. Hopefully what some of the posts I've seen are going to hold true and that the tariffs are going to be rescinded within 24 hours. And we'll probably try to make it look like it's a great decision that we did it. See, we won here. We got everything to work and now everything's great again. When actually we look like fools to the world. But the world's held us to accountability, which is what we need. And the way you compare what Canadians' government's doing to ours and the way they appeal to their own people and explain to it logically and with concern of, I know this is going to hurt you. I'm going to be truthful. This is going to hurt us. It's going to hurt you more than anything else. But we need to prove a point here and hold these people's feet to the fire to say, we're not dependent on you. You're more dependent on us than anything else. And it's a good sign and it's a good rule to follow. Don't be going to the grocery store when the snowstorm comes. You can get back out within a day. Don't listen to what these people are going to spend because we've been conditioned to do it too long. Remember the facts, remember the history, and move forward and hold everyone accountable. And don't forget it when the midterms and all the special elections come up here shortly.